Well, welcome back, my friends, to another rousing rendition of Choir Boys Outdoors. People go missing every year. I believe 1,180 people went missing or were reported missing from 2018 to 2023 in U.S. national parks. I think I know why. Now, this isn't a creepy pasta. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit. I don't want this to be long, but I have started kind of a series, How Not to Survive. Megatron and I have been out the past 2 weekends, just weekend excursions, not trying to survive, not acting like it. Okay. One weekend we took an impromptu hike. Last weekend we did some kayaking. One we planned for, one we did not. In both instances, we made bad decisions, right? Let's talk about that a little bit. And I'm fascinated by this topic because here's the thing. There's a lot of things, guys, a lot of things that I'll bring up and I'll leave open ended. Doesn't mean I don't have the information. It doesn't mean I'm not aware of what's going on. It doesn't mean that I'm clueless. I'll leave some of this stuff open for discussion, right? Some things I kind of misword, not really clickbait, but, just bring people in. For instance, I think Shipwreck Cove and saying the boats were shipwrecked. I should have expounded on that. Those in Shore Shop, thank you for mentioning it. Those boats were abandoned. I guess people, I don't know if they can't pay the taxes or they're just super, and they are super expensive, but they walked away from them. But I'm saying that stuff. I do a lot of reading and I watch a lot of videos and I'm fascinated by certain topics. Camping, outdoors, hiking, surviving type stuff. I'm fascinated with, but what I've seen just in 2 excursions is this. One wrong decision typically leads to another, and before you know it, you're screwed. So let's talk about it. The first excursion, we went on a hike. We were literally going 10 minutes from the parking lot to the river and back. We decided to go down the trail. Now, I'm just rehashing this for some of you who haven't seen the videos. And we wound up on a circular trail, right? Only one way to come out of the bastard, getting lost, going down the game trail, not paying attention. We didn't take water. Why? We were going to be gone for 10 minutes. We had no kind of shelter. I had my knife. And now I do carry a lighter and I do carry a small piece of fat wood. But here's the truth. That only goes so far. And I believe dehydration, especially in Northeast Florida or anywhere in Florida or Texas or anywhere like the heat gets you, I think dehydration would probably get you quicker than anything. Now, we were never in any real danger of getting lost or overnight or survival, right? But I learned from that. The next weekend we go kayaking. We took what we thought we would use. We took what we thought would be beneficial. Now, we took plenty of water. I know Meg showed one bottle, but we had 4 or 5 of the big liters. We had a tarp, a tent, not a tent. We had like a tent tarp thing, a one-wind type deal that you could make a shelter out of. I had a ground sheet. And we found out very quickly that wasn't conducive to the environment we were going into. I was totally wrong. Now, I didn't just guess that was the kind of stuff I would need. I didn't guess that. I had been out there before. Things change. We'll address that in a minute. But in 2 trips, now, that don't mean I'm an expert now or I've come to some form of enlightenment. It does mean I'm learning. And I want to talk to you just real quick about a couple of things. And I want you guys to jump in. This series is important to me, and I'll tell you why. It's not important to me for me. I'm 53. I've got less years ahead of me than I've got behind me, right? But it's important to me for my grandkids and their kids. And I want to develop a series that not could teach them. See, here's the thing. Here's, I think, what happens sometimes, like with YouTube and things like this. People will get in, and there's far better people at it than myself. But, I don't want them to rely on a series to save their life. I want them to have a series, one, something to remember their granddad, but two, that they can look at and it causes them to think. They are in Alabama. Now, who knows where life will lead them, right? I'm in Northeast Florida. We're both in the South, but totally different environments. Totally different environments. So this series wouldn't be to instruct them step by step, nor you or anybody else, but to cause you to think. So let's think of a few things that could get you in trouble. Now, the people going missing, I truly believe that is from one, first and foremost, a lack of planning. Two, if that's not the case, I think it's bad decisions, right? Bad decisions can be corrected. Poor planning can be corrected. A little bit of research can help you with that. I will always love knives. I will always have 3 or 4 knife reviews on the channel. We're going to have one tomorrow. The Elbrus, in fact, I'll show you while we're stopped. Now, I'm bringing that up for a reason. I'm always going to have a solid knife on me. It doesn't matter the price. We're not brand specific around here, okay? But I'm going to have a good sharp knife. That'll get me so far. It'll get me so far. Here's 3 things that I saw in these past 2 weekends. One, clothing is huge. It's very important. Right now, I want to say it's probably in the 70s here in Jacksonville, okay? It'll get down tonight, I think, in the 50s, and that's comfortable all the way around. Saturday, I believe it hit 80, but I believe it was going to be in the lower 50s, upper 40s, and when you're on the water, that breeze, that wind, that exposure only increases. We went out, I had on shorts and a t-shirt. That's it. I had on water shoes. That's going to play in big in a minute. Meg was a little more prepared and she had a light coat. But here's the thing, guys. Had a huge storm blow up, had something happen, and we got stuck overnight, or we decided to extend our kayak. We've done that before. Go down stream, go visit. If something happens, if I were to get in trouble, and I always say me because I'm the older one, the one for years who's been out of shape and medical problems and things like that. Just for instance, my boat flipped, whatever scenario that could happen like that, or one poor decision, try to paddle across the river. The river is like 3 or 4 miles wide. That's no easy feat, right? Current flows north. It can be very choppy when a river's wide like that. That wind, you can get some real choppy. Now, not waves, and you're not gonna, we're not talking about some huge swell, but the truth is you're fighting the current, you're fighting the waves, you get fatigued, you get out of whack, you need to get to a shore, you need to rest. All of these things start to compound, right? So, and if I keep going out of focus, I'm sorry. So I would have been stuck Saturday night, and I know some of these are a stretch, but some are not. And it's when are not scenarios where people get in trouble, and it happens week in and week out. We're seeing it more and more and more and more. Now, the truth is, most people, from what I've read, are rescued. Now, it ties up a lot of resources and money, but they're rescued, and thank God for that. There are, at times, fatalities and tragedies and injuries, okay? But the more I think about this, and the more I look at this, these are easily solved situations. It does not hurt to prepare. Now, you can't take the house, everything in the house and the kitchen sink. That's just not enjoyable. But like we've been talking about, a good go bag. Now, with kayaking, I use a dry bag. I think a dry bag's a wise choice. That way, if the kayak did flip, my bag floats. I still got my stuff. I can still start a fire. I can still get warm. I can still do all that. Shoes. I wear, when we kayak, I wear water shoes. They're thin soled. I like having something on my feet. And the truth is, Green Cove is so old, and there's been so much up and down the coast. You can step on anything, and you could anyway, from litter, broken glass, or a aluminum can, and cut yourself, to some really old stuff, right? So I like having a sole. But here's the truth: had I got blown to shore, or had I had to stay overnight, trying to now trek inland with those shoes on, it would have ate my feet up. Again, that's an issue. What I want to accomplish with this video is this, not to come up with some great eureka moment, because a lot of you already know this, but I do want to come up with a couple of scenarios that make everybody go, damn, that's true. So, easy remedy. I could put an extra pair, some kind of extra pair, even if it's like Crocs that have a strap on the back, something thicker, something easier on my feet if I did have to get to land. Or an extra pair of socks in there if, hey, God forbid my kayak flipped or had a hole or took on catastrophic damage. I'll tell you a real life scenario that happened to us a couple years ago. And this is when this was before the channel. So I was pretty much high, I'm pretty sure, which was just always such a joy for Megan to have to deal with. But I weighed around 360. We went kayaking. We go down a long creek and we paddled down. We were going to paddle up. The current wasn't bad. We got down to the end of that sumbitch, or probably 2 or 3 miles down, which would have been my stretch max limit, dying, bitching, crying, mad, all of those things at 360 pounds or how much I said. Storm blows up, big storm. So we paddle under a bridge. We're kind of laughing, cutting up. Well, we decide it wasn't letting up soon. The lightning had let up. It was still raining. A little break came and we were going to take off to get back to the dock. As soon as we take off, my damn paddle broke. So now I've got one half of a paddle. The other one's useless because of the way it broke. It's jagged. So I'm having to do like this. We decide one of us will tow the other. That was a nightmare. We went down the wrong damn creek. When we come down the creek with the current, it kind of split. When we went back up, we never really paid attention to that split. Guess which way we went, right? Now, it took several hours to get back. I would have been totally screwed and I almost got to a point where I didn't know if I was going to make it. Back then, guys, it wouldn't have been nothing for my heart to be going about, and this is no exaggeration, a resting heart rate of about 110. Blood pressure stayed at stroke level because of the meth and the fentanyl and all that at about 210 over 140. I've got it all documented. This isn't exaggeration. Those are there. So had I had to stay, she couldn't get me back. Now she's strong and she paddled and she's hell bent and she's courageous and all this. But had it got any worse, guys, one of us would have had to stay out there. And I had no gear. I would have probably been in trouble because it was about this time of year. It was raining. It was cold, not like freezing, but the cold front was behind it. I would have been in a mess. I wasn't prepared. The best I could have done at that point is probably paddled up under a bridge, soaking wet, and dealt with the wind and had to deal with exposure. That's a real scenario. What would happen now? We carry spare paddles now. Because of that incident, we carry spare paddles. And I know this video is going longer, but it's okay because I want to cover a bunch of stuff and people will watch what they want, right? The other thing is this, having the proper footwear, having spare gear, having water is so huge. Now, on our kayaking, something that stuck out to me, yes, there were broken bottles, but I found a couple of bottles, old bottles. But here's the thing, worst case scenario, worst come to worst, if I was stuck, I could have cleaned those out, boiled them out, and used them. Would I want to? No. But in a pinch, I could have done that. You don't want to rely on that. I don't want to rely on that. But I'm saying, if we would have got out there, I would have had at least something that I could have boiled water in had we ran out of our water. So extra gear, that's one thing to think of. When you're hiking, it's different, isn't it? Because weight matters. That's where choosing what you take is imperative. There's no catch-all. There's no one catch or one fit catch. Y'all know the expression. You have to be selective. And I think that's where, and good Lord, we live in an information age. Google it. Hey man, we're going on a hike. Google the damn thing. See what they say about it. Don't put yourself in a bad situation and then make a bad choice because you've been in the woods for years. I can hear me saying it. That's where, you know what? That's where most people screw up. You do know how to do these things, but maybe the one time that you're like, well, we got this, you don't have something you need, or a mitigating circumstance comes along and erases that benefit of knowledge, right? There's some factor that cuts out your expertise and throws you a monkey wrench. Now you're not panicking because you do have some skill set. You're not panicking because you're an adult. You're not panicking, but in the back of your mind, you're like, okay. That's where I think proper planning comes in. It definitely helps. It definitely helps with packing your gear. The other thing is stay to the plan. Stick to the plan. When we went on our hike, we had planned to walk to the river and walk back. We should have stuck to that plan because we weren't prepared for anything longer. Now, had we taken a haversack with water, see, if we took a haversack, a couple waters, and a little bit of a trail mix or something like that with our first, it'd have been fine. Now that's just an extended hike. And that's what I want to hammer home here. Sometimes, guys, enjoyable events turn into ordeals because of a bad decision. Sometimes it's not even a bad decision. It's a decision with poor information. Now you're in a bad spot. Again, these 2 weekends have really opened my eyes. They make me an expert, no, but it does make me, as we move forward. Now, in a couple of weeks, I'm going down to South Florida with Walter Matthews. If you're not following Walter, make sure you do. Jason Fleming from Straight Edge Knives is going down there, and it's going to be like a survival weekend. Really looking forward to that. This channel will probably never delve that deep, but I want to keep this channel where we keep you out of that situation. Some people like Joe Flowers, love Joe, love his channel, love everything he does, or not his channel, but his stuff. Joe goes to the Amazon every year. Joe is prepared, right? Most of the folks that I'm making these videos for are not going to the Amazon. Hell, just going out for a weekend hike might be the extent of it. Going out into national parks, not knowing the terrain, in some of my reading over the past couple of days, I've seen where steep terrain, lack of knowledge of the terrain, lack of preparation, falling down a steep cliff, all of these things factor in, and they're all things that can be eliminated. The last thing is this. One major thing that I'm going to add to my pack, and people have mentioned it, and I could kick myself for not thinking about it, is toilet paper or dude wipes or booty wipes, whatever. But here's the other side of that. Not just that, but hygiene in the woods, I think, is imperative, right? Maybe not for overnight. I'll get a shower tomorrow. But guys, in your pack, take some things that you can clean up with. Take your if you need medications, take a dose with you. That's the other thing. For me, I have some heart issues. I'm working on them with this weight loss and all that. But it's important for me to have like baby aspirin with me. It's important for me to have a spare dose. That's important. But hygiene, I think, is one sometimes overlooked. And I'm not talking about just toilet paper. I'm talking about some basic hygiene that can keep you from getting infections while you're out there. It can stop a lot of stuff. Listen, I've talked way too long like I always do. Put in the comments your thoughts. I'm really, really excited about where we're headed with this. Guys, listen, I am huge on these 3 causes. They're mine, but I'm mentioning them. First is this. There was a time in this country where 22 veterans a day took their own lives. Now, stats go anywhere from 15 to 29. On the weekends and holidays, it goes past that. That's why here on this channel, we focus on the number 0. Anything over 0 is simply unacceptable. Vets, we love you. You have a place here. Guys, I back the blue. It's not understood. I get it. And people don't like it. Get that too. I have my reasons. It's been part of the channel. I don't shove it down your throat the whole back the blue till it happens to you. It's happened to me way more than it'll happen to most of you. Finally, if you are an addict, and I most certainly am, never quit quitting. Well, tell me what you guys think. Tell me some essential things or maybe some mistakes you've made. And we're going to move forward with this series. I'm Scab. You're not. And I'm gone, son. Y'all have a great Tuesday.